So this is kind of weird for me because I was asked to come and talk about something that I just talk about. And I couldn't quite figure out why it was important until I started talking about it, preparing to talk about it. Apparently I have a really good attitude about how I handle this, I guess, catastrophic disease or debilitating disease, whatever you want to call it. And it's weird because I feel like I've always felt inside like this Patrick is just fine. He's just stuck in a container that's not working very well. But upon reflection, I remembered when I first got diagnosed in May of 2014, my father and I had just gotten back from the hospital. And without even thinking, and that's the name of the talk today, I said, we're going to treat this like a business, okay? I'm very good with being an entrepreneur. Frankly, I think that's a worse disease than my muscular dystrophy. Do I switch the slide or do you? Okay, all right. So I have a form of muscular dystrophy, but I really think being an entrepreneur is a more tragic disease. It's actually cost me more money, more people, you know. It's a sickness. But I think it got me ready for this disease, muscular dystrophy, specifically inclusion body myositis. It's an adult onset muscular dystrophy. It's very rare. Fundamentally, my main muscles in all four limbs are progressing to nothing. They're dissolving or dying. And it's all my major muscle groups, and it's symmetrical, and it's kind of a weird disease where I can't do small things. I call it the lazy man disease because I have an army of people that help me do things now. So when I decided to treat it like a business, everything started to fall in place. It took the emotion out of the process. It put me in a place that's very familiar. Anybody that started a business knows that you've got to believe in it. You've got to want to do it. And once you've done it, you know that it's going to be full of problems, full of setbacks, but it's also going to have a lot of good things that happen. So by making it a business, I was able to cope with it. So that's the title, significance. So the next slide. All right, so we're going to torture a metaphor here for a little bit. By making it a business, if you've ever done a business, you know you have to do a business plan, okay? And typically you want to figure out what you're in the business of, and then also figure out, once you've decided the business you want to be in, who your competitors are. So I decided I was in the business of being independent. Now I could have chosen many different businesses. I thought about being a good patient, but a good patient isn't my personality. I'm not passive. I need to attack and confront. My father and I got even better at this disease once we knew what it was, because now we could just go at it, right? So being independent was the best decision. When you decide what you're in the business of, now everything kind of falls into place. And the person that asked me to share this with you guys today, I'm going to be talking about how I'm coping with a disease, but I'm also hoping that if anybody out there is having some trouble with their business, you can apply some of this, okay? And so it's kind of a double-edged sword here. So you know what you're in the business of, so you have to find some competition. And so my competition, I've decided, is physics and time, okay? Physics and time, and in specifically Newtonian physics, gravity, the action-reaction equation, and of course, mass not occupying can't occupy the same, whatever it is. I'm not a physicist. So when I fall, it hurts. And with this disease, because I don't have all of my quads or anything, sudden falls is a big, big problem. So by identifying the physics as a competitor, I could start to address it. The other big competitor, though, is time, because like I said earlier, it's progressing. It's progressing slowly. There's no pain. I'm okay. But it's going to happen. All right, so you have your competitors. So then, to torture the metaphor some more, we do a SWOT analysis. So we go in and we look at the business plan. So what is the SWOT of physics? And I never remember what the O and the T mean, so we're only going to do the S and the W. Strength is it's omnipresent, right? Physics is everywhere as far as I'm concerned. It's a law. I don't like facts, but I have to believe it because I hear it all the time. The weakness, though, is that it's avoidable. For instance, wheelchair, crutches, any kind of assistive devices. So once I put this in the business plan mode, I was able to get over the idea that I can't do stuff and embrace these things that I really don't want to be an expert at a wheelchair, but I started this business, so I've got to learn it. So you can see how the process works in this brain, at least. So if we go to the next competitor, time, it's relentless, right? You can't get past it. But the weakness is, in this case, it's slow. So the way I can defeat that is with preparation. The last thing Dr. Mammon said to me as I was leaving Johns Hopkins, I think the last thing he said to us was, prepare for a life without stairs. And it was profound. It's true. But I had the time to prepare for that. So, for instance, in a good business, you start figuring out tools to deal with your competitor. We took the bathtub out of the shower because stepping in and out. We added banisters, then we added an elevator, then we put an addition on. All those decisions, though, were made in a very systematic way because we were dealing with a business and there was no emotion. And it's kind of weird. Some of my talk is weaving in and out of the first 3 or 4 talks we had today. So really, I'm teaching you how not to think like they told you to think. All right, so I forget the next page. Okay, so I'm going to start wrapping this up because I don't like long talks, and I hope you appreciated my simple slides. If you have a big problem, and in my case, it's this muscular dystrophy, park it in a familiar spot in your brain, okay? For me, that was entrepreneurialism, business plans. By parking it in a place that my brain knows how to navigate really well, and most particularly in the bad times, because it seems like when you have your own business, everything's always bad. You already have something that's new and different in a spot. You know, it's like lifting weights. The muscles in here know what to do in those situations. With a business, you need people, you need money, you need a place. So I talked about the place. We modified my office, which is the house, right? You need money. I host fundraisers every year. Excuse me if you're offended. I'm using the word for me. I play the cripple card whenever I need to get advantages. Why not? And then people. So this is where I'm going to start to wrap this all up. The biggest challenge of being suddenly thrust into this disease thing is all of the people that want to help you, okay? It was literally the hardest part of this because this physical disease becomes a mental problem, all right? So for me, if I have it as a business, all of these people that want to help me are employees. And when I had my businesses with employees, I knew the best way to get the best out of them was to give them specific tasks, let them feel really good about what they're doing, and make sure that I respect their time. So I have a person that walks my dog. Well, that guy I never ask to help me take the dog to the vet because I know I have somebody else that likes to do that. I have somebody that likes to garden. I don't ask them to go food shopping, right? When I have random problems pop up that I have to deal with, and I have to get somebody who's never helped me before, I file away, okay, they help me move furniture. I'll never ask them to do anything else except that, and I don't like to rearrange my furniture, so I shouldn't have to bother them for a while. And the point of that is, until there's some miracle cure, and with my luck, I'm going to live till like I'm 98. This is going to go on forever, and I can't burn up my help, right? So that's why I look at them as an employee. And that's why this idea of parking this in the familiar spot of entrepreneurialism in my head, which again is the biggest disease, has made this possible. The other thing I use a lot is humor. And I told my friends to never pull punches. I'm done basically, but just real quick, try to keep humor in and try to keep dark gallows humor in. It'll make it a lot easier. You saw me use the stairs getting up here. To date, the funniest thing any of my friends have ever said to me is, Patrick, when you use the stairs without your assistive devices, you look like a monkey trying to hump a football. All right? And that was the beginning, and it has never ended. So if you have a big problem or your business is having a problem, kind of start over again with your business plan. But most importantly, for me, business work, maybe it doesn't for you, but find a familiar spot in your brain that's always dealt with challenges that you find is very effective, and try to figure out how to make your problem that. And that's how I have a good attitude. And that's the end of the talk. You're allowed to. Yeah.